So today you're going to talk about AdMods for games and a few other ways that developers can be involved in the Google ecosystem. But before that, you want to give a little background on yourself, how you got involved in development and Google?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Silu from Google AdMob team. Basically, we're a team to help app developers monetize through Google's advertising products like AdMob Ad Manager. I started from Japan and then had some experience in Singapore with the APAC developers, and recently come to the US and work with the NA developers. So very happy to work with developers across different countries and share the experience about how we can better our money through the ads.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to have you. I appreciate you being here. We're going to cut to your presentation and then we'll cut back and do some questions.
Sounds great.
All right, we'll see you in a little bit.
Hi everyone, I'm Silu from Google AdMob team. I'm working with North American app developers to monetize through Google's advertising solutions such as Ad Manager and AdMob. Today it's my honor to join the event and share with you some of the best practice about how to maximize ad revenue with Google. So let's take a look at the agenda for today. We're going to cover three interesting topics. First one is about some introduction of the new formats, as well as the best practice sharing of the traditional formats that usually commonly used on games. The second one is about yield management. So basically how we can leverage newly launched real-time bidding solution called open bidding to maximize the revenue through ad demand from different ad networks. Third one is about the data-driven decision-making through Firebase and some of the other analytics tools. In the end, we're going to have some time for live Q&A so we can address some of your questions together. So let's get started. The first section, we're going to talk about ad format best practice. I will start with some of the introduction about the new formats that we launched recently. So the first one is called App Open Ads. This is a new inventory that you can leverage to monetize users as soon as they enter the app. Basically, when the user clicks the app icon and start the app, they will be shown with this ad format. So as you can see at the right-hand side, the top 15% is your branding. You will include your app icon, your app name, and also the transparent background overlaying your app content. And the bottom 85% is going to be the ad. So after the testing with many developers, this format has proved to be showing very high eCPM performance, as well as providing a good experience for the users. So we don't really see much negative feedback on the user engagement metrics after adopting this format. This is for sure something you can test out and see if it can help you generate additional revenue. The next one we want to talk about is adaptive anchor banners. So as you can see on the right-hand side, we previously launched the old, like traditional banner, which is a fixed size banner. We also have smart banner. And now, what's different about this adaptive banner is it uses a provided width rather than the full screen width. So enable you to account for the display cutouts. It also selects an optimal height for the specific device rather than, a fixed height. So it helps mitigate the effects of device fragmentation. And also from the test with many developers, we see a very strong performance comparing to the traditional banners. So it's for sure some of the very common formats that you can use and test it out in your game. The next one we're going to talk about is some of the best practice about the traditional formats we have that are commonly used on games. So one of that is interstitial, the other one is rewarded video. So for interstitial, as you know, it's the full screen ad that you can see as shown in the middle screenshot. So this is a format that you can use whenever the user switches between screens. For example, in this case study, the developer uses it when the user cleared the level. So when they finish the level, the interstitial ad is shown, and then when the user close the ad, the next level will be shown and move forward. So as you can see, some of the best practice is also to adjust the frequency when the difficulties of the game change or the user kind of progress the game, because they might take longer time to finish each level. So you want to adjust the frequency maybe a little bit higher to make sure similar number of impressions are shown to the users. So that's interstitial. And we also have rewarded video. Basically, this is a format where you ask the user to watch a video ad, and in return, you give them something that they can use in the gameplay. This is a format that improves the user engagement because you're rewarding them something to continue the game and also help you grow the ad revenue. Since rewarded video is a bit more challenging to get it right, we're going to share some of the best practice today. Basically, these 3 points are very important in terms of the rewarded video design. So one of that is valuable. How valuable this reward that you give to the user is it worth spending their 30 seconds to get the reward? And discoverable, so basically how visible is the rewarded prompt? Can the user easily find this prompt window, or they have to take efforts to do that? The third one is rewatchable, so basically more talking about the stickiness of the rewarded video experience. Is it attractive enough for the user to keep watching it? So let's come to the valuable part first. So how to make sure the value that you give to the reward is attractive to the user and aligned with the game design as well. So here we list out different items in the game economics that the developers usually design for the game. So one kind of that is energy. So basically this is the fundamental thing that the users need to move forward on the game. So that can be the life and energy, steps, level time, different types of formats in different type of games. And you can of course think about the rewards that you give based on this type of energy things, like retrieve the game, give them extra life, or reduce the waiting time. There's another thing which is also common is the currency type. So that can be coins or diamond or gems in the game. So for this one, you can give them additional currency or just add a bit more gamification in that. For example, give additional chance to the lucky spin. They can end up with additional gift or the gems. The last one is tools. So basically something that can help them accelerate the game progress. That includes, for example, petrol wood in some of the simulation game, or the tools in some casual games. So you can give them paid tool, give them the premium feature, just customize skin and character to help them boost the game. So these are some of the examples that you can think about. And usually the reward value that you give to the user needs to be a bit higher than the ad revenue that they get from per user, because when you think about this, you have to think about also the benefit that you can get from the increased user engagement. So it's not really just the increased ad revenue you're getting, you're also getting increased user engagement that can add value to your ultimate revenue income. So usually you want to give a bit higher value to the reward than the actual ad revenue you're receiving per user. The second one is discoverable. So how visible is the rewarded prompt? Here we want to give an example from one of the developers' testing process and show you like what kind of things they kind of think about to improve the performance. So as you can see in the left-hand side at the top, this is their original version of the design of the prompt window. It's just very common, right? Like with a long text and the item that the users can get. They realized it didn't really generate very high performance. So then the first version they kind of update to is on the right corner for the first image, where they shorten the message to continue, just continue instead of a long sentence, and also added a countdown design to add a bit sense of urgency. And that improved the user clicks a little bit than the first version. But they're still not satisfied with the performance. So they made a second version of improvement where they made two changes. So one of that is they had a user research and realized all of the users are more like a female users. So they want to make it more tailored to their current target audience. That's why you can see the design for the UI is a little bit more customized now versus the previous version. And secondly, they add this double confirmation design, where if the user rejects to watch the video, they will ask them again, just basically showing them, okay, now you're earning high score. Do you really want to give up? So give them a second thought, and with all this kind of small adjustments, they finally able to achieve 5 to 8% higher users clicks for the rewarded video. So you can see these kind of small tweaks really work for this developer. And the third one is rewatchable. So basically the stickiness of the ad, how to make sure the user can always be attracted to the reward that you give them and watch the video. So one of the best practice is to think through dynamic reward design. So basically, based on the user's performance or their progress in the game, just give them different types of gifts to keep attracting them. Other ways can also be like showing the rewarded video in a random cadence instead of like a fixed pattern. So this kind of different best practices. So this example is taken from the same developer as before as one of the example. So you can see in the right hand side with the 3 different screenshots. Although the screen in the screenshots here, the 3 scores are the same, but in the real gameplay, these are actually different because based on different scores the users get and different levels they're at, they're gonna granted with different types of rewards. So they have different types of rewards as shown, where they have the chance to run lucky spin. They have been given different levels of different type of extra coins. So with all these designs, they're able to achieve a 20% increase in the impressions. So this is just one example, but as mentioned before, there are other practices. The idea is just to make sure we think about creative ways to keep the users attracted even after they progress in the game. So these are some of the sharings about the ad placement and ad formats. The key point here is just basically keep track of these new formats launch and be open to test out as soon as possible, and also think about these small best practices to improve the performance about some of the traditional formats. Okay, let's move to the second part, which is the yield management. Basically how we can use mediation or open bidding solution to better improve the competition and optimization of the demands from different networks. So traditional waterfall mediation uses the historical CPM data, like the historical average CPM data, to prioritize ad networks. But there could be a huge difference between the average revenue from yesterday's impressions and how much this particular impression is worth today. So this historical optimization misses out on real-time pricing changes, which means you could missing out on additional revenue. So with open bidding, which is our newly launched real-time bidding solution, all of your ad networks compete in a fair real-time auction where the winner is always the highest paying network. That means you will get the highest available revenue for every impression. So not only will open bidding drive high revenue, it will also decrease the time you need to spend to manage your monetization solutions. So with open bidding, everything is handled in one place. Many of our partners don't require you to implement their SDK to add them to open bidding, cutting down the number of SDKs you have to manage. And now open bidding works with tools like our mediation test suite, streamlining your setup and testing so you can catch issues early and launch ad experiences that work for your users. Open bidding works alongside mediation, so as you move more ad networks into open bidding, you will spend less time managing waterfalls, and you will be able to see the performance of all networks in one report instead of having to search for data across multiple dashboards. So these are all listed in bullet points as you can see in the deck. So we have 3 buying partners that are available to all open bidding beta publishers, including Uploving, Liftoff, and PubMatic. But meanwhile, we have 10 more partners who could be added on a case-by-case scenario. So we encourage you to talk to your account manager for more information. And one thing we want to highlight is that open bidding is also the only place where the most popular third-party demand sources can compete with the AdMob network in real time. So to maximize the value of every impression from your apps. And one of the success story I like to share is from Halfbreak. the creator of hit titles such as Fruit Ninja and Jetpack Joyride. So after seeing positive results from AdMob mediation, they have incorporated open bidding to boost CPM even further and saw great results. So their CPM has increased by 22%, and the overall ad revenue has grown by 17%, which is pretty impressive. So we really encourage you to search a bit for open bidding, and feel free to contact your account manager for further details about open bidding. And the third one we want to briefly touch and talk about is data-driven decision. It's just as the ad monetization gets more and more complex, it's really important to leverage data to help us make the right decision instead of just based on our impressions or historical records in the past. So I want to mention a bit about Firebase, as it's one of the tools that can help you on each phase of the app lifecycle, like testing, release management, analytics, and messaging personalization. So all these different type of phases in the lifecycle of the app development. So first and foremost, you need to know your users. So with Google Analytics, you can easily divide your user base into audience segments so that you can further personalize their experience. And next, with predictions, you can utilize machine learning to predict future user behavior based on historical data captured in analytics. So a great use case here is predicting which users are likely to churn. And finally, if you really need to deep dive in your data, you can mirror all the events to BigQuery. After you understand and start segmenting the user base, it's time to start experimenting and also optimize your application. So core to this is the remote config feature that allows you to remotely change your app behavior without the need to ship a new build, which is time-consuming and also inconvenient for the users. So combined with Google Analytics and A/B testing, you can design and execute experiments to test what makes for the optimal app experience for a target segment. And finally, you will need tools to help retain your existing users and to acquire new users. So in app messaging, this kind of feature offers push notifications that pop up directly in the app to perhaps present your most valuable users with a special offer. And cloud messaging will help you reach users who haven't visited your app in a few days to re-engage with them. And finally, if you're planning a marketing campaign and want to advertise your app on, say, third-party websites, dynamic links will be a great tool. So dynamic links will help your prospects locate your app in the respective app store. If the user clicks on the link from Android device, they will automatically land in the Play Store, while the iOS user with the same link will be pointed to Apple Store. So it just makes the things much easier for you. And here we want to share one of the examples about how one of our partners leveraged Firebase to increase their ARPDAU. So Avidly is a mobile game publishing company based in Shanghai. They publish a lot of popular games in the past, but the challenge they have is they want to improve the balance between game monetization and the in-app purchase, as well as the user retention metrics in order to boost the LTV across the global user base. So they have one of the very popular game called New Era, but it's just very challenging to play. So for users who started play but not able to really manage it, they actually get stuck and quickly just give up. So it just lowers their game's retention rate and all the other performance tied to the revenue. So what they did is they leveraged Firebase and AdMob to create an audience segment of the less experienced players. They then used the Firebase remote config feature, which we shared briefly before, to adjust the gameplay and make it a little bit easier for those segmented users. And with this kind of small adjustment, they're able to improve the 30-day retention by 2%. And that, in the end, since kind of improved the user engagement metrics and helped improve the ARPDAU by 20%. So this is very impressive, but also a very good example about how developers can leverage Firebase or even other, data analytics tools to make smart decisions and to make data-driven decisions. So that's all for today, and I hope you learned a bit more about how to better monetize through Google's different type of solutions. If you have any questions, feel free to raise it, and we can address them in the Q&A. Thank you so much.
And we are back at the Multivarious headquarters here in beautiful Columbus, Ohio. And it actually is a beautiful day. I say that a lot. It's not always a beautiful day, but today's wonderful. So we're pulling in Silu. Yes. Nope.
Oh, so this is where we put in that doting on baby for 15 minutes. So
yeah, if we need to just give baby some scratchies.
Constantly.
We're back.
Welcome back. Maybe.
Hi.
Hey.
That was a great talk.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed that. Caleb, you had a couple of thoughts while you were watching it.
Yeah. So I am not a developer. Hello, Silu. I'm Caleb. I'm not a developer, but this is one of the things that I love about GDEX is I will have a vague idea about things when I step into GDEX, and then something gets elucidated to me. Enlightenment falls upon my shoulders like a mallet. I wanted to ask you how you and Google kind of approach this. So, for instance, while I was listening to your presentation, I had never heard the term interstitial used for that full screen ad. I'd never heard that, and I was like, "Oh, neat! That's a thing." So, how do you approach getting the specific ideas about ad revenue and ad spacing terminology to developers? Like, how do you guys do that? I know it's weird sometimes to try and transpose ideas.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think not all the developers choose to use ads as the monetization solution, right? Because meanwhile, we have in-app purchase, we have subscription, so all these kind of different models for them to earn money. So usually how we approach them is just share actually ads now has become more and more kind of like a mainstream monetization solution. And we usually show them the different kind of image of the ads and tell them based on their user base, the downloads and impressions that they have from the users, how much they can actually accelerate in terms of their revenue. I think through this kind of approach to let them know how they can benefit from monetization through ads, people are really willing to learn more. So that's how we usually do it. Pretty straightforward, actually.
Awesome. I've got about a minute to ask you another question. We got one, and you may or may not know this, but are there any good tutorials on implementing Google Ads within a Unity project?
I think you will definitely be able to search that because Google Ads is actually from another department in our company. I can actually help you search for that. Maybe I can send that to Grace, and maybe I don't know. We can share that link or resources through GDEX. Do you think that sounds good?
Absolutely. If you send it to me, we'll send it out to our guests. And then this last question: has there been any use of personalized ads within a specific game to find a certain target audience?
So it's basically asking more about a more customized ads, right?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Yeah. How can you use this sort of ad framework to really, nail down a target audience?
So there are actually two ways. If you majorly two ways that you can think about through our products. So one of that is very easy. It's called Smart Segmentation. It's a new feature, not new, but comparatively new feature in our AdMob products. So with that feature, we will help you, use machine learning to segment the users based on their potential behavior. So for example, we're able to tell if a user is likely to purchase or not likely to purchase, and then be able to simply just segment them. So when you create new ad units there, it will just target the targeted audience that you want, so which is pretty simple and straightforward. There's another solution which is not directly through AdMob, and is Firebase prediction. So you can actually search for it. There are a lot of materials about Firebase prediction. There you're able to set up more complex segmentation of audience. So maybe based on their certain behaviors in the game, and then you're able to actually do the same and just put the ads to those audience that you want to target. So you can try to search for these two different features.
Awesome. So we're running out of time here. Is there any last thoughts that you want to get out before our time together is over?
Yeah, sure. I think so. Ads also evolve while the gaming industry evolves. So I would really recommend everyone to keep track of the most recent updates of different ad networks and what kind of solutions they provide. For example, recently we have this open bidding, kind of like a real-time bidding solution that's available now, which we didn't really have in the past years, and that can help you, boost the revenue and be more able to, have the cash stream and work on the project that you're interested in. So my recommendation is just try to stay tuned and just search for this kind of newest updates from different providers, and then you'll be able to. I think you'll be able to do well. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Cody, are we ready to cut away?
I hope so.
All right. Silu, thank you so much for being at GDEX. We really appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you so much. Very happy to be here.
Bye.